Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanek and Robert Paris, Peter Brown with the weather, and Jolie Atwood with the community calendar. Thank you for joining us. The Burlington Educators Association joined with more than 30 other education organizations representing over 10,000 teachers in signing an open letter to school leaders in the state and school department administrators calling for classes to begin remotely and gradually transition to in-person learning. The Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is requiring each school department to submit 3 plans for the fall: an in-person only, a hybrid model, and a plan for full remote learning. In Burlington, the initial plans put out by school department have focused on a hybrid model with students in school a couple of days a week and remote learning the rest of the time. When students are in school, they will be required to wear masks and desks will be set up in a socially distanced way, though in most classrooms, not a full 6 feet. The final set of plans from each district is due to DESE on August 10, though Burlington Superintendent of Schools Eric Conti has said that they plan to request an extension until August 14th. In the letter, the teacher associations say they are recommending our districts and campuses return to learning in September with a gradual, phased-in approach that is tied to public health and safety benchmarks. If the situation with the pandemic improves, they go on to say, then in-person learning can begin. Finally, the educators say they want to return to school, but they don't feel it is safe in the current situation, adding that they don't feel the benefits of in-person learning outweigh the risk of sickness or death. You can find a link to the full letter on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. Burlington representatives in the State House announced last week that they supported actions to increase local aid for education in the new fiscal year. Representative Ken Gordon and Senator Cindy Friedman announced Friday that an agreement between the legislature and the governor will ensure increases to local aid and Chapter 70 education funding in fiscal year 2021. A joint release from their offices had stated. The agreement will allow cities and towns to avoid significant budget cuts despite the uncertain conditions brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the new agreement, Burlington Public Schools will receive $7.9 million in Chapter 70 money, an increase of just over $1 million over FY20. We will also receive unrestricted general government aid, more commonly known as local aid, of over $270,000. Shawshene Valley Regional School District will receive $6.8 million in Chapter 70 funds, an increase of over $374,000 over the last fiscal year. The agreement provides for funding of unrestricted general government aid at no less than the amount provided in FY20. Also included is an inflation and enrollment increase for Chapter 70 education funding. Finally, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education will distribute emergency resources appropriated by the federal government to help each school district meet the challenges brought on the pandemic. Burlington's Community Garden has become an essential resource for the People Helping People food pantry during the COVID-19 pandemic and is actively seeking volunteers to assist with their efforts. BNews reporter Tad Stefanek has this report.
Since 2014, the Burlington Food Pantry has had a seasonal supply of fresh vegetables from the Burlington Community Garden.
100% of the produce that's grown in the volunteer garden goes to the food pantry.
Our goal here at the pantry is that all the food we send out the door, 30% of it should be fresh fruits and vegetables. So obviously having a local garden is a key component in helping us meet that goal.
We still have been experimenting with the variety of product we grow, but it's the usual summer squash, tomatoes, peppers, beans are the core of what we grow. And then we started to experiment. Last year we grew potatoes. That seemed to be pretty successful. It's the staples. This time of year people they look for the zucchini and tomatoes. Those seem to be the hitters. There's 19 lease plots available to anybody who wants to have a vegetable garden or you can grow some flowers. There's a couple of gardeners here who have half flowers, half vegetables.
This year, the food pantry has become a necessity to Burlington families with the closing of schools.
We actually started a vacation lunch program back in 2015. And I think that it was because of us having an existing program in place, it was very easy for us to work with the schools and step in and handle the logistics of getting food out to children, because the school is used to feeding children within the building, but they had no plan for how to get food to children who aren't in the building. And since we had an existing program, it was very easy for us to kind of roll that out.
It's an important asset for the community. There are so many people who are food insecure living in town. As affluent as Burlington may seem, we really do have a number of people who are food insecure, and we need help with the garden.
There's been a huge increase in demand. So with the school program during the summer vacation in previous years, we've been feeding roughly about 70 children. This year we're upwards of 200 children. In our general pantry operation, we're seeing about a 40 to 50% increase in requests for assistance.
If you want to volunteer, you can go through the food pantry and we'll work it in to do some weeding and watering and harvesting.
From the People Helping People Food Pantry and the Burlington Community Garden, I'm BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanak.
Another retail business in Burlington is showing signs of struggle during the pandemic. Lord & Taylor, an anchor store at the Burlington Mall, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on Sunday, according to CNN and other news outlets. As reported by BNews last September, the retail chain was bought by the online clothing rental business Le Tote for $100 million from the Hudson Bay Company. At the time of the sale, Le Tote said it would offer the merchandise in smaller format stores and include rental options for $79 per month, allowing customers to keep up with the latest fashions without putting down the money to actually buy the clothing. According to Business Insider, Lord & Taylor has been liquidation sales at 19 of its 38 stores, and such sales could start at any time. Business Insider further reports that if a buyer is found for one or more stores, the company will stop liquidation sales at those locations. The Burlington Mall location is not one of the 19 stores in the initial liquidation sell-off. Chief Restructuring Officer Ed Kramer said in a court declaration that Lord & Taylor is hoping to sell some of its most profitable stores through an auction process. With the schools shut down since March, a lot of students have missed out on learning opportunities. One Burlington middle schooler is trying to fill in the gap for the town's elementary school students by offering free math tutoring via video chat. BNews Director Rich Hosford spoke to this young educator and has this look.
So the other thing we did last week was subtraction. So let's say you had 2/3.
When schools
minus
closed
1/3.
suddenly in March, there was a lot of scrambling to provide students with remote learning activities. However, the one-on-one instruction some students need, especially in subjects like math, was difficult to come by. And when summer came, most formal learning stopped altogether. However, one Marshall Simons Middle School student decided to use his math skills to make a difference and posted on social media that he was willing to provide free tutoring for elementary school students that needed some extra help.
I just thought, like, if kids are staying at home and, like, they're not really learning much from school because it's kind of hard to learn online, I just thought that I could teach them, private one-to-one, so that if they had any troubles with the past year, or if they wanted to move on to topics for their next year, that they can learn. One of the other factors of this is, like, some parents might not be able to teach their kids, like, either they don't have time or they don't know the topics. I grew up with the same curriculum as they did, so I could probably teach it the best.
Adi says he initially had over a dozen students and that 6 or 7 of them have been very consistent. He's been pleased to see they have been engaged and seem to enjoy their lessons.
Most of them have wanted to learn new topics, so I've been teaching a lot of that. And they've also been saying at the end of the classes, like, it's already over, so I think they're enjoying it.
He has also been enjoying working with the students.
I've been definitely meeting new people. It's fun. And also I have a little brother, so it's kind of like that, like teaching younger siblings.
Adi is also using the tutoring sessions to help a cause he believes in. He has set up a fundraiser called Math for Equality that supports the My Brothers Alliance group, an organization inspired by President Obama's call to action to ensure young men of color have equal opportunities.
there's also been a lot of Black Lives Matter things going around, and I kind of wanted to promote that as well. So I've donated to My Brother's Keepers Alliance, which is basically to help Black boys and men speak out against racism, and I thought that's really important, especially at this time.
Finally, Adi said he had another, more personal reason to offer these tutoring sessions.
I mean, another thing that inspired me was my mom, like at a young age. She didn't really have much to like many opportunities to learn because she in India, women were thought to like not get any higher education and just marry off. So I kind of wanted to give kids opportunities that my mom didn't have to learn. And so I would just say take the opportunity, take advantage of it.
From a video chat with math tutor Adi Dash, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
You can find a link to Adai's fundraiser on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. A Burlington man whose name is forever displayed in the Smithsonian for his contribution to the Apollo space mission has passed. Keith Lyons Johnson, a retired mechanical engineer, passed away of natural causes on Friday morning, July 31st. He was 85 years old. Kevin was born in Boston and grew up and was educated in Arlington. After graduating from high school, he went on to earn his Bachelor of Science degree in engineering from Northeastern University. He then served his country as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army. He spent much of his time in the service stationed in Germany as a member of Company D of the 24th Engineering Battalion. He and his beloved wife, Betty, settled in Burlington during his working years. Kevin had a long and distinguished career as a mechanical engineer. He worked for Sylvania, Avco, Raytheon, and ended his career at MITA Corporation. It was during his 25 years with Raytheon that he worked on projects for the Apollo space missions. His name is prominently displayed at the Smithsonian's Air and Space Museum's Wall of Honor, recognizing those who contributed to the U.S. space program. His job was to develop an experiment to locate water on the moon. He was also a friendly neighbor and would often help anyone who he knew to fix their vehicles or appliances. He will be missed. The Burlington Athletic Boosters Club held a virtual fundraiser for the Burlington Public Schools that featured some past Super Bowl members of the New England Patriots. BNews reporter Robert Paris has this look.
On Wednesday, July 29th, the Burlington Athletic Boosters Organization held their annual celebrity fundraiser featuring past Super Bowl members of the New England Patriots. The event was through a Zoom call. A number of past athletes from the team were on the call, including offensive guard Joanne Druzzi, tight end Jermaine Wiggins, and quarterback Scott Zolak. Joining the Zoom call was BHS Athletic Director Sean Hart and sponsors Wegmans and the Cookie Monster. All the past team members had a brief discussion about the current situation with the pandemic and how it is affecting sports worldwide.
You know, there's a lot of guys that are going to have to make a decision, especially during this pandemic, is, you know, they might have to sacrifice. They might have to, you know, tell their family members or their loved ones, hey, listen, I can't come around you because God forbid if I get anybody sick, you know, I don't want to see anything crazy happen. So I think it's a very difficult time for a lot of guys, and it's very difficult for guys mentally.
One thing that is unclear at the moment is the National Football League and how players and every coaching staff will handle the travel restrictions.
I just think when we travel to uproot an organization and there's 53 guys you travel with, you're talking 12 coaches, how many scouts they take, personnel guys, 12 trainers, 6 doctors, marketing, PR, 8 people, the food servers, everybody. I mean, we're going to have to take 2 planes this year. I personally don't think we're going to travel with the team because normally we do that. It just opens up the door.
Now that the NHL, NBA, MLB, and MLS are underway, the NFL needs to look closely on how to protect the 32 teams around the league.
You know, it's gonna if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But you know, I think they're gonna take every precaution necessary. And I think Miami, the Marlins, I think that big issue had to deal with spike that they had down there. And as Zoe said, that they were a little more lenient on their players, so that made it a little harder. So
Just keep your fingers crossed. Wear your mask out there, everybody. For everybody listening, wear your mask, wash your hands. This thing's not over yet. You know, grass is always greener on the other side, you hope. And there's going to be better days.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Sports.
A new scam out there is taking advantage of the online shopping people are doing during the pandemic. According to the FTC, rather than impersonating government officials or other authorities, they are posing as popular online shopping websites, phishing for your personal information. For example, you get a call from someone who claims to be with Amazon.com. The voice on the phone will say that your credit card has been charged a large amount of money for some order. Then they'll give you the Amazon support phone number and tell you to call immediately if you didn't make that purchase. If this seems suspicious, that's because it is. Scammers want you to call a number they give you so that they can ask for your passwords, credit card number, and other sensitive information to get your money. If you get a call like this, you should just hang up. Once that is done, check your credit or debit card account to ensure that there aren't any charges you don't recognize. Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan once again met with BNews reporter Robert Paris for the latest department update. Let's check it out.
August is here, and the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department is continuing its summer activities throughout the pandemic. This week, I had another COVID-19 conversation with Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan. Even though the annual Celebrate Burlington event was canceled, the crew at the department came up with a way for the community to do a virtual one.
It was actually a big hit. We had almost all 250 Celebrate Burlington bags go out, celebration bags. We have 50 house decorating kits that went out as well. And I think the businesses really enjoyed, getting some people to visit them. I know the residents enjoyed the bags that they got. They got a really nice canvas bag and with the Burlington Rec logo on it, and then filled with things from Burlington businesses.
With just a couple weeks left of the summer programs, the department is preparing for the upcoming fall ones.
We are going to be meeting with our local Board of Health to discuss guidelines for September, October, in the back to school time, on what those may look like. Our staff checks the state every day for updates on guidance. They don't release them and then let everybody know. They kind of release updates to current plans. We'll be, over the next couple weeks, figuring out what that fall is going to look like program-wise, and we'll be releasing our information and our plans through social media.
I'm Robert Paris for BNews Weekly.
It's been hot out there, and to see if the temps will stay high, we go now to BNews weatherman Peter Brown for the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Jolie Atwood to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, and this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. I know it's hard to think that we are in full swing here in August. Summer is starting to get away from us a bit, but we have some beautiful weather still to come up for you. As we go ahead and we look at our almanac, we're going to be expecting temperatures that should be in the low to mid 80s at this time of the year, and that's pretty much going to be what we're going to be seeing for the next 7 to 10 days. In fact, maybe a little bit warmer than average, so again, no surprise there. It's been quite a warm summer. As we round out the period, I know it's hard to think that we're looking at the middle of August, but temperatures again are going to be fairly pleasant, a little bit above average. Now, I want to just point out that look at our sunset times on Thursday. Setting before 8 o'clock. Actually, this past Tuesday was the last evening the sun sets at 8 o'clock, so we won't be seeing those sunsets that long until we get back to next May. But we still have some great weather to come and some really long, beautiful days, so not to worry. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what we're looking forward to in terms of temperatures and precip chances as we go through the next 7 days from the Climate Prediction Center. And again, no surprise, it looks like most of the New England area, as well as really pretty much most of the northern tier of the country, is expecting above average temperatures. Again, very typical for what we've seen this summer. However, as we go ahead, it looks like here in our area in New England, looks like we're expecting a fairly good chance of below average precipitation. So really nothing measurable, appreciable in terms of rain. So it looks like the lawns and flowers out there are definitely going to be thirsty, especially as we see some pretty warm temperatures as we get towards the end of the period. So let's go ahead and take a look at that 7-day forecast. And again, if you have this period off, looks like you have some absolutely beautiful conditions, temperatures in the mid and upper 80s. Temperatures a little bit more comfortable at night as we're going to see the humidity levels a little bit down after what we've been seeing in the past month or so. Temperatures really in the low to mid 60s, so fairly nice if you're out there and enjoying that weather. Now, a couple of spot chances of showers maybe over the weekend and towards the end of the period, but that really, again, doesn't look like it's going to be measuring up to much. So looks like if you do have a lawn or any flowers out there, they are going to be suffering, unfortunately, a lot of watering bans around, and that looks like that's going to be continuing for the foreseeable future. But anyways, folks, please get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hey everyone, I'm Jolie Atwood, and this is your community calendar. Come and have a relaxing night of soothing music. On Thursday, August 13th from 5 to 8 p.m., 3rd Avenue will be having a Concert on the Green event. The Jay and Joe acoustic duo will be performing. Everyone is welcome and the event is free. Learn how to play this popular medieval game. On Friday, August 14th at 3 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having an event called Dungeons & Dragons for Beginners. Everyone is welcome and pre-registration is required. Register at burlington.org. Bring your tennis balls and rackets. On August 15th and 16th, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having their annual Rahanis Park Open. This year's event is for Burlington residents only. Registration is all online at burlingtonrecreation.org. I'm Jolie Atwood, and that was your community calendar.
In our series, Who Works for Burlington, we talk to town employees not often in the spotlight. Up this time is Burlington Public Library reference librarian Justin Acosta. Let's take a look.
In our quest to bring you the stories of town employees you may not see or hear from often, we present the next installment of Who Works for Burlington. This time up, we are going to the second floor of the Burlington Public Library to meet with reference librarian Justin Acosta, a graduate of Simmons College with a degree in Library and Information Studies with a concentration in archival management. Originally, library studies was not his initial career goal, but he decided he enjoyed working with the patrons.
Originally, I wanted to be a teacher, but I kind of found the classroom a bit too binding. I liked working with adults more than I did the younger ages, but with working in libraries, I'm able to help people in more than just one subject or one topic. It can cross a lot of different areas of not only subjects, but in terms of life and assisting them with things that they really need to sustain a living.
So what is the daily routine of a reference librarian?
Most of my daily work involves just helping patrons, assisting them with any questions or concerns they have. Technology especially, it's kind of the bigger part while working up on the second floor here. Ordering books, going through a lot of purchases, and expanding the library's collection.
The work of a reference librarian is not all about books, and patrons will throw any number of questions at them.
I suppose the more interesting questions I get have to do with technology and fixing bugs, whether it be on someone's own personal computer or tablet or something to do with our computers here. Those tend to be the most, for me, I find them fun. It's kind of a challenge that I like to solve. I like to figure out what's going on and how to correct it and prevent it from happening again.
There are some things reference librarians do that the public may not be aware of.
We have a wide-ranging databases that we can assist people with family search and history and Ancestry.com. We're in the process of working on expanding our library of things, as that we're calling it. It's the things that can loan out aside from normal media like books and DVDs and CDs that we do currently loan. These library items will consist of Roku sticks, digital converters, a ukulele, and eventually we're working on getting a telescope and expanding it even further to things that people might not want to go out and purchase themselves, but they're welcome to come in and loan it out for their own personal use.
Finally, Justin said he enjoys working at the Burlington Public Library.
It's by far been one of my better work experiences.
From the Burlington Public Library in a time before the coronavirus, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo was another nature shot. It was sent in by Kelly Floyd and shows a pretty sunset through a tree at Reagan Park in Burlington. The orange-red light shining through the branches creates quite an effect. Thanks for the photo, Kelly. We'd like to see your photos. Some of your garden, perhaps. They could be of your stay-at-home activities, finally eating al fresco at your favorite restaurant, shots of your friends, pets, summer activities, or just the weather seen from outside your door and in your backyard. Whatever you think is interesting and would like to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Okay, that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, Jolie Atwood, and Peter Brown. Thank you for joining us.